Hi, my name is Adelise, and I will be reviewing the book Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Lewis Creed is a doctor who works at a college campus infirmary. Lewis is also married to Rachel, and together they have two kids, Ellie and Gage Creed. Later on in the book, the family gets very close to their neighbor, Judd. The book is set in the town of Ludlow, Maine. The Creeds live together in their two-story house across from Judd. A lot of the story consists of Lewis hanging out with Judd on his porch. Lewis works at a college infirmary. Later on in the story, you are introduced to sitting at the pet cemetery in the Micmac burying ground. This book begins by telling us the Creeds are just moving into Ludlow. After a few months of living in the small town, Lewis and Judd become close. When the rest of his family is on a trip, Lewis discovers that his daughter's cat, Trick, had been killed by a truck outside. Judd then led him up to the pet cemetery where Lewis assumed that they would bury the cat, but Judd ventured onward to a cursed burying ground called the Micmac Burying Ground. Hours later, Church is returned alive but changed. Months later, Gage, Lewis's son, is killed, and in a flash of rage and grief and shock, Lewis takes him to the Micmac burying ground and buries him. Gage returns, but not himself. He is evil. I give this book 10 out of 10 stars because it's one of my favorites and it's very well done and emotionally developed. I strongly recommend this book to anyone over the age of 12 because of the amount of foul language. I also would advise that people who don't like horror to not read it. I was very interested and invested when reading this book. Throughout the book, though, and towards the end, it got very sad. I was also very curious about what would happen next. When I finished, it turned out I ended up loving it. The Cemetery is a classic fiction book that is horror genre. Stephen King wrote The Pet Cemetery, and it ended up being one of his best-selling books. When published in November of 1983, the author writes the book in the third person. Thank you for watching my presentation over the book Pet Cemetery.